Welcome and thank you for joining us for the 2021 Judicial Diversity Summit, Stronger Together. I'm Nicole Virga Bautista, the Executive Director and CEO of the California Judges Association. CJA has worked alongside the California Lawyers Association and the Judicial Council to put together and present the 2021 Judicial Diversity Summit. It is my pleasure to serve as MC for today's opening session, Judicial Diversity Today. Before we get things started, I would like to introduce someone that, quite frankly, needs no introduction. Our Chief Justice, Tani Cantil-Sakauye, has emerged as one of our country's leading advocates for equal access to justice, civic education, and reform to court funding models and procedures that unfairly impact the poor. As we explore judicial diversity throughout the summit, let's not forget that when she was sworn into office in January of 2011 as the 28th Chief Justice of California, she was the first Asian Filipina American and the second woman to serve as the state's Chief Justice. There is so much more that I could say about the Chief Justice, but I want to take just a moment of personal privilege to share that the Chief Justice has touched my life for many years. She worked alongside my late father, the Honorable Michael G. Virga, at the Sacramento County District Attorney's Office and the Sacramento Superior Court. He was so proud to watch his friend and colleague as she rose through the ranks, shattering those glass ceilings and serving as our state's Chief Justice for the past 10 years. Welcome, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Nicole. I extend my admiration and gratitude to CJA and to CLA and Judicial Council for putting on this important, timely, relevant summit. And Nicole, I do want to say your father was the model prosecutor and model jurist. He was the presiding judge of Sacramento Superior Court during a time of turmoil. He unified us. He made us better. Also, he was a good neighbor. I lived in the neighborhood when you were just a little girl. So what a pleasure it was to have known and be a friend of Michael Virga and your granddad, Big Mike, also a judge in Sacramento Superior Court. It's so important to have this summit, but particularly impressive that it's put on by such distinguished leaders in the legal profession, in the bar and the bench. That alone shows the significance and the importance of the subject of diversity in the law. Many years ago, over 10 years ago, when I was first named Chief Justice and stood election, a person said to me, "Well, wow, you have big shoes to fill." And I said, "Well, I don't know how you view that, but I'm not walking in anyone's shoes. I'm going to walk in my own shoes and do what we need to do in this judiciary." And isn't that really the beauty, the importance, the need for diversity? It's not to fill someone else's shoes. It's not to walk a path that's been tread for 100 years, because in that path, you, all of us, most of us here, we were overlooked. We weren't part of that path. And when we did join that path, people wondered who we were and what we were doing in the courtroom. And so our role here as students aspiring to join the legal profession or thinking about the legal profession, and lawyers and judges and professors and judges who teach, judges who bring that heart, like all of you here, that's our destiny. It is to be who we are, to bring our voice, to broaden the discussion, to create many more lenses to view justice in order that we can provide it, and also provide trust and confidence in the decisions that are being made by people in Black robes, by lawyers who are advocating and taking sides. And so it is with great pleasure that I speak to these opening remarks, and I feel quite privileged because each of you are leaders in your own way by example and by in the classroom to teachers and students. The Judicial Council, as you know, as part of its strategic plan, since 2006, 15 years ago, has as its number one goal, access, fairness, and diversity. In 2006, before diversity was really as embraced and considered as it is today, the Judicial Council, a group of leaders as judges and lawyers, decided and knew then and put enshrined into the first strategic goal what had been our practice, diversity and access and fairness. It was Chief Justice Rose Bird who commissioned the first ever study of gender in the judiciary. And thereafter, she, along with the chief after her, also commissioned the first study in the judiciary of ethnic minorities and minorities' involvement and people of color in the law and on the bench. And we were thinking about this as a judiciary years and years before. And as a result today, I'd like to say that as a result of our access, fairness, and diversity and your good work, and remember, fairness in my mind is another word for equity, not equality, but equity. What is fair is not always equal. And so with access, fairness, and diversity, the two policy goals that support access, fairness, and diversity are one, and these words are important, collaboration with our justice partners to identify and retain and encourage qualified jurists for our bench. The second policy underscoring that in support of access, fairness, and diversity for the Judicial Council is also to collaborate with bar associations, the state bar, specialty bars, law schools, to also identify qualified candidates, diversity candidates in the judiciary. And we have continued to adhere to those policies. In fact, so much of the policy and the strategic goal really even need be enshrined because it is the motivation for all of us in all that we do. In all that we seek to bring people, we look for diversity, we look for inclusion, we look for differences, we celebrate our differences, we learn from them. That's what makes us better at the work we do. It's no surprise that California has the most diverse legal profession in the United States and in the world. It's not perfect. We need to do more as we do outreach to colleges and law schools. But the truth is by every other metric, California is ahead, but we still have work to do. We also, as you know, have the most diverse judiciary in the world. Again, more work to do, but we lead by example and by the excellence of our jurists who come from our extraordinary pool of talented and storied lawyers. At our Supreme Court, for example, it's no surprise to anyone here, yet it is a surprise nationwide, that we have the most diverse group of 7 people who sit together. And our diversity is writ large. It's not just gender, it's not just orientation, it's not just what ethnic culture we identify with. There was a time when I thought our greatest, most marked diversity on the Supreme Court was our age diversity. We had great stories and laughs about whether or not someone had ever walked into a Costco, because why would they need to go to a Costco if they've never had a family? We've had such diversity now that it truly, I think, informs and enhances our opinions. At the Judicial Council, our leadership has never before looked the way it does now. As chair of the Judicial Council, the Chief Justice, whoever that may be, is named as chair. But we have Martin Hoshino, the first non-Caucasian male ever to hold that seat. As my vice chair, I had first Marv Baxter and then Ming Chin. Again, there was a time, honestly, when you would see 3 Asians at the front of the boardroom leading the Judicial Council, and our internal chairs also come from incredibly diverse backgrounds. Currently, as you know, I chair the Judicial Council. Martin Hoshino is the secretary. Justice Carol Corrigan is the vice chair. Justice Marcia Slough is the first female ever to be chair of E&P. also first openly gay. And also we have leading the budget committee is Judge Dave Rubin from San Diego, also openly gay. And then we also have Judge Marla Anderson, the first female African-American, but first female ever to be in charge of legislation for the entire Judicial Council. And we have Harry Hull, Harry Hull is our first justice in many years, actually, to hold the position of chairing the Rules Committee. And if you look at the Judicial Council itself, the policy-making body of the judicial branch, we seek to try to be as inclusive. We're always looking to do better. You tell us to do better. You help us do better because you encourage people to apply. You put candidates in front of us who want to apply and do the work statewide. And it's with that kind of support and that idea that we really seek to bring out the best in California, to bring the points of view that make our laws and our programs and our ideas something that resonates nationally. I cannot tell you how often, and including today in a national call, when we are asked, I am asked, well, what's California doing? And when I explain what we're doing, and as of today in the conversation I had today on a previous Zoom call, what we're doing with regulatory reform, what we're doing with racial justice issues, what you're doing with racial justice issues, really is astounding to them. When they learn that we have a statute that requires the Judicial Council to ask about a judge's ethnic background, a judge's gender preference, et cetera, different states were surprised, but they understood the value of one branch maintaining this data in order that we can improve those numbers for the future. And so these ideas come from you. They come from your contacts with the legislature. They come from brainstorming with each other. And I'm so proud of the work that you do, the work that you continue to do, and the freshness that you bring with it, the new motivation, the excitement. Thank you all for those of you who participate in our Power of Democracy, the Civics Initiative, where we reach out to K through 12 and we show them what it's like to be involved in collaborative projects, civic engagement, working together, finding their inner leader, and working to see themselves in positions that we hold now merely as stewards for their future. I want to thank also the pre-summit program facilitators who provided tremendous background, who brought their own experience, and who helped bring this day forward. I do also want to say that incoming CJA President Rupert Birdsong said to me, "Are you live or is it Memorex?" And sadly, I got that reference. Many of you won't, but that commercial is so old. And I say that because I wish we were live, because there would be lots of hugs and we couldn't help ourselves. Maybe we'd hug with masks, but there'd be lots of hugs and how are you doing? And a lot of sitting down and chatting and catching up, because we do our best work when we support each other. And that's what you do. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your good work. It only gets better. You only make us better. We are stronger. There's power in this summit, and I know you will put it to good use. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Chief Justice. With those opening remarks, our Judicial Diversity Summit is already off to an incredible start. I'd now like to introduce Judge Thomas Delaney, CJA President.
Thank you, Nicole. Good afternoon, Chief Justice, President of the California Lawyers Association, Emilio Varanini, distinguished guests and colleagues, both judicial officers and officers of the court alike. On behalf of the California Judges Association, I want to welcome you to the 2021 Judicial Diversity Summit. But first, I want to thank you, Chief Justice Tani Cantil-Sakauye, for those inspiring words and for all you have done and continue to do for the judicial branch and our state. Through your leadership over the last decade, which has included some truly unprecedented circumstances, the judicial branch has reached new heights in all respects, including through our efforts to enhance diversity in our judiciary. As part of these ongoing critically important discussions on judicial diversity, we all need to remember that which we all already appreciate, that our efforts on diversity are not just about making sure our judiciary reflects the rich diversity of our great state and our great country. They are not just about making sure that all aspects of our legal profession also reflect our diverse population. And they are not just about creating opportunities for students to achieve higher education so that they may attend law school and ultimately add to and help sustain the diversity of the profession and the judiciary for the future. Now, make no mistake, the importance of diversity is about all of those things, but it is much more than that. It is about making sure that at every step of the way, at every level of our schools, our professional ranks, and at every level of our judiciary, our diverse members are included in all aspects of leadership and decision-making. Then and only then can we sustain the personal and professional diversity we have accomplished together through our hard work that has created a stronger and wider, more inclusive pathway to the bench. That is why this summit is so critical, particularly at this time. At CJA, we have a number of initiatives that we've pursued this year designed to make sure that we do our part to enhance the personal and professional diversity of our judicial officers at the trial and appellate court levels. We have the task force on the elimination of bias and inequality, which is about to be made a standing policy committee, again, to make sure that the effort is sustained. We engaged in innovative and inspiring diversity and inclusivity conversation series where we judges, myself included, learned more than we ever knew about our colleagues and about our world, about the people who appear before us every day. And we had the Social Justice Forum, where more important discussions took place in a safe space about our role in society that has seen awakenings on a number of fronts. CJA is doing its part to continue and enhance these important conversations and intends to take an active role in the governor's judicial mentoring program with Appointment Secretary Luis Cespedes. At CJA, we are fortunate enough to have 4 vibrant affiliated associations: the LGBT Judicial Officers of California, the Association of African American California Judicial Officers, the California Asian Pacific American Judges Association, and the California Latino Judges Association. Each of these affiliated judicial associations has not only played a substantial role in support of all CJA initiatives since they were invited to join as affiliates back in 2018, each of them also has helped lead CJA in every aspect of our mission to promote judicial excellence through their work on education and ethics, through their judicial outreach in our schools and in our communities, and through their efforts to make sure all of our judicial officers are included in all aspects of our mission. They also have taken us to new heights in our advocacy through their work with their respective caucuses in the legislature and in other aspects as well. We are fortunate indeed to have them and to have leadership in the judicial branch, particularly in the Judicial Council, that recognizes the true value of diversity in our judiciary and also in our profession, that we are stronger together. I want to thank and applaud each of you for being here today. Just by being here and engaging in these meaningful discussions, you are helping create an environment that will enhance our already talented judiciary through increased and sustained diversity at all levels of our judicial branch. I also want to thank the Judicial Council and the California Lawyers Association, including, of course, President Emilio Varanini, for their support of our judiciary and the wonderful partnership between CLA, the Judicial Council, and CJA these past few years. CJA looks forward to continuing that relationship on all matters related to diversity and inclusion, and making sure that through these conversations and other initiatives, whether joint or several, we all do everything we can to eliminate bias and inequality in our justice system. There can be no question that we are all stronger together as we continue our vigorous pursuit of the common goal of equal access to equal justice for everyone. And that starts with conversations like these. I hope you all have a wonderful and productive 2021 Judicial Diversity Summit.
Thank you so much, Judge Delaney. That was really inspiring and exciting. And now we will hear from CLA President Emilio Varanini. Welcome, Emilio.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Chief Justice. Thank you, Judge Delaney. I too would like to extend a heartfelt welcome and echoing the welcome given already by the Chief Justice and Judge Delaney to all of our attendees here today. On behalf of the California Lawyers Association, We are proud and so honored that so many of you decided to join us today. As you've already heard, I am Emilio Varanini, President of the California Lawyers Association. The California Lawyers Association is the statewide bar association for all attorneys. Back in 2018, all of the relevant stakeholders in our system, the state bar, the sections of the state bar, judges and attorneys all had a vision for separating out the sections of the state bar that they could become a statewide bar association. But then it begged the question, a statewide bar association to do what? And so I see our role, the role of the California Lawyers Association, as shown here today by this Judicial Diversity Summit, to have three aspects. One is a convener, one as a participant, and one as a pathway. So as a convener, we have the ability to work together with our partners, such as the California Judges Association, the Judicial Council, and the affinity bars, local bars, to bring people together for important events like Judicial Diversity Summit, and working together with our partners to address what is a very critical issue for our profession and for the rule of law, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. But we're more about just convening. We're also about participating. So in the history, the short history to be sure, of the California Lawyers Association, we have undertaken numerous efforts and formed a number of different committees to address diversity, equity, and inclusion, to include a broader, deeper pathway to the law, and ultimately to the bench, to further diversity, to encourage diversity of viewpoints and backgrounds that makes our system so much more resilient and so much stronger. So we have a diversity outreach committee. We have a civics engagement committee, which came out of the Chief Justice's Power of Democracy initiative. She made the call and we answered. This is one of the many things that we do as the State Bar Association for all California lawyers. We have a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. We have a racial justice committee that grew up organically from the sections and has undertaken a number of cutting-edge initiatives, including sponsoring some of the first ever resolutions on various racial justice topics in the American Bar Association House of Delegates. And last but definitely not least is our charitable foundation arm, the California Lawyers Foundation. They have been working hard at financing and deepening a number of projects begun by the California Lawyers Association, again, in conjunction with our partners, to provide education and pathways for youth and others to learn about the law, to ultimately become lawyers, and we hope to become judges as well too. So we're proud of all of these initiatives because they contribute to this pathway that is so important, not just to the bench that we're going to be talking about here today, but to law school, because without law school, I know this is an obvious truism for all of you, you can't become a lawyer unless you go down the route of self-study. And even if you become a lawyer, then there's a pathway to becoming a judge that can be arduous. And so we're here to help in that respect. We believe that the projects that we have done in the years since the last Judicial Diversity Summit have been quite meaningful. In February, for example, we hosted the first annual convening of diversity stakeholders. This is part of our role as being a convener and working with our partners, bringing together individuals, organizations, and groups to share their efforts, identify gaps, consider barriers, and explore solutions. And again, we invite all of you to join us, not just here today, but for future efforts that we may have. I know a number of you have had the opportunity to attend our 6 pre-summit sessions, where you had a chance to witness firsthand how much work has been done and the resources and wisdom that is available to would-be judicial applicants. We're going to continue to work on that and deepen that and look forward to the insights from this summit. However, I want to end this before I turn it back over to folks here at the summit with a good note. For those of you who saw the governor's latest press release on judicial appointments, you saw firsthand what happens when 350 affinity, identity, and regional bar associations across our state and California's judicial affinity associations come together to suggest, encourage, support, and mentor a broader range of applicants. Our work's not done, but we're stronger together for tackling this all-important work, starting with today. So to close my remarks, I want to say again that we are very proud to partner with the California Judges Association and Judicial Council on this summit. I want to thank all of our partners. I would be remiss in also not thanking our awesome Judicial Outreach Committee that works so hard, including incoming chair, Tristan Higgins, interim co-executive director, Ellen Miller, and initiatives manager, Lauren Oakley, for their particularized and enduring commitment to helping make this summit a reality. Thank you, and I look forward to the summit.